Hey there, how's it going? What is up, everybody? Irish Orangutan is back to pass along the knowledge to make the most of your Madden team. But Tim May and Fredzilla, thank you both so very much for reaching out on YouTube. Tim May actually did so about 4 days before I actually started making videos again, so just wonderful timing and great inspiration, and I hope everything is great with your family, and I wish you the best. And Fredzilla, I just hope you are your great self as always and able to eat the food that you want at this point in time. Thank you very much for all your support. Today we'll be talking through the patch and better understanding some of the estimated and unintended consequences of the patch and other things that did occur today. While doing that, we'll be looking over some of the new Rising Stars. Players do have a video out regarding the best ones to potentially choose for your free pack. And we'll also be opening up some packs while we are talking through things today as well. But just wanted to go through some of the things that they did intend to actually have happen with the patch yesterday first. Looking through some of these stats for Mac Jones. Sadly, he does not get Hot Route Master. Appearances did change for quite a few players. They are continuing to input face scans and things like that for the game, and just making people look more realistic, having the correct numbers, having armbands the way that players are wearing them this year, things along those lines, and it is really kind of making the game feel more realistic, especially for the newest generation of console. Another thing that they did intend to do with this recent patch was have zone coverage be boosted to a certain extent and have that help when there are less people in that particular zone, have them play a little bit smarter. That is something that is very exciting and hopefully does come to fruition. Did play last night, did do pretty well in my season's games. Did have one struggle that I'll talk about here in just a little bit. Tight end delay fades got adjusted slightly, but are not completely fixed for the oldest generation quite yet. And yeah, that is something that they need to continue to work on, but hopefully that will be coming in the future as well. Man logic on motion routes was boosted, and just go into something else that did occur last evening. Maybe an unintended consequence, or maybe something they just did not say, was that man seemingly has been boosted as a coverage. So that is something that is a little bit interesting, to be honest, at least for me. Last night I did have an issue. Slants usually are able to just kind of run through man in most circumstances, and had a situation on the goal line and could have ran down the clock and got a field goal to go up by 2, but did not want to give my opponent the chance to kick a field goal to win at the end of the game, so was going for the touchdown, had a pass that was a man beater and was stopped on the goal line. Mike Hilton stopped Jerry Rice and picked the ball off to go the other way, so it was very much a Malcolm Butler type situation. He ran back out of the end zone a little bit, and yeah, then he just kind of finished out the game, and I was unable to stop him. Did have a couple timeouts left at least, but sadly did not work out quite the way that would hoped. But just one of those things that you have to go in and test. And looking at that, Mac Jones actually was at a snipe potential range, so that's why I was going back into him real quick there. Something that they are hoping to do is help out with ability points and just adjust those throughout the year. Something that did change were dead eyes being adjusted, so they would better kind of coordinate with what they're supposed to be doing. Inside Deadeye is no longer perfect anymore, and it now has went back to 2 ability points. The other ones were rather insignificant. There are a few new abilities in regards to running players off. If you're not necessarily the best wide receiver at blocking, you now have the opportunity to just run people off and not have to block in that situation. And then there is the exact stop of that on the other side of the ball for defense. And they do have a couple more, superstar abilities that are close to Deflator, that are also in the ranks, giving you the ability to be able to see what the player is doing, and not just. There he is, Isaiah Simmons, the expensive one. Had to work it down a little bit to get him. But yeah, excited to see what the new abilities do, but it is very hard to get superstar abilities to activate, especially in head to head. So, just something to consider as you move along and maybe not investing in those as heavily. But yeah, this Isaiah Simmons is absolutely gorgeous. I'm very excited to look into him a little bit more and see how he plays more on the field. Was able to get through those solos this morning, and will be able to show him kind of coming out of a pack as well. So very excited about that. Did talk about the man buff. Tight end streaks was something else that was an unintended change. It is now not a straight streak, and have heard it is not something that just affects tight ends, but other people in tight sets. So it does seem like they tried to nerf those type of things, and maybe didn't do it in the best way they could have, since tight end delay fades are still not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Something else that is a huge negative are the game crashes that kind of have came along with this. It is a huge negative, and is something that hopefully they are able to get fixed in a very expedient patch, and it is a little bit frustrating. Thankfully, it is not something that has occurred to me. I've just heard a lot of it happening in Team of the Week solos, so definitely could affect me in the near future. Have played through mine. Didn't really want to let me into the second one, but nothing I haven't seen, and just kind of skipped through that and was able to get that up and running as well. Something else, especially on the newer generation, have heard that in bunch, when you block the tight end, of course a lot of people are just in bunch, so it is able to be tested out a little bit more thoroughly as well, but it just doesn't allow you to snap. When you are flipping plays and doing things along those lines, it also doesn't allow you to change your player to do anything a little bit better. Watching Gut Fox's stream yesterday, just seeing a lot of frustration come from him in those situations. It is frustrating, to be perfectly honest, that that type of thing can happen and does continue to happen. Again, thankfully it has not happened to me, so possibly on the previous generation, it can be something that works out a little bit better for you. I did actually go out and purchase Isaiah Simmons Power Up. I do think that's something that a lot of people were thinking everyone would want, so they went out and got that. I do need Gregory Rousseau, so I will be picking that one up for myself. And yes, when working through audibles, it can be very difficult and can lock you into certain animations that just don't allow you to do anything before the snap, which really can be detrimental, not allowing you to get to the right player, change formations, change what the play is, or flip it. So the only fix that I really have heard is pushing two buttons at the same time, be it X and A, or right trigger and left trigger at the same time. That is the way that you can go about trying to counter that at this point. But it is just very frustrating to potentially see those things not allow people to play the game properly when they were just trying to fix certain things. So hopefully they are easy to fix and aren't going to set the game back in a negative manner. And I'm going to be selecting Isaiah Simmons here. As you did see, he was 60,000 coins more than everyone else, so I'm very excited to finally have a middle linebacker on my team that is kind of top of the echelon again. The last thing that I did want to discuss with the patch was how they affected quarterbacks scrambling and what they kind of did for that. I think they heard us and did try to make this better. QB Contain should be working better for us in pretty much every regard. It is something that is going to hinder your ability to stop the run, but it will be able to stop those scrambling quarterbacks, so you won't have to use QB Spies and then a variation of yourself to try to stop those players anymore. It is kind of interesting that Ted Hendricks is my top middle linebacker. and I think he's better out of position at every position rather than his right outside linebacker, because he's 95 over there at left. And going to be actually probably going to switch out JOK. JOK's 90 speed as well, though. So yeah, actually Isaiah Simmons will be taking Roquan Smith's spot, and I will have a number one cornerback there. Someone I have been working with is Charles Woodson over here, but until I get his top overall card, will be taking away the ability that I did have on him and putting Lurker on this Isaiah Simmons. So with those ability points for Lurker, it is again less, and I believe that was something that changed with the last ability point adjustment. Hopefully they continue to make that more applicable to the game that is being played by everyone. So hopefully moving forward, that will be something that is fixed in the future, and linebackers will be able to play the same way as safeties do, playing in the exact same position, being similar athletes. Isaiah Simmons being a very good example of one that would be just as good. But again, with those QB contains and trying to slow down the quarterback behind the line of scrimmage actually is far less capable as well, especially when they go 15 yards back. So that's something that can help you out immensely. It does look like we're going to need a little bit more training. In this instance, I'm saving up some coins to try to better my team with most feared, so probably won't go out and purchase training, even though it is very, very low at this time. If we get a training reroll, it probably would hurt me immensely, but don't really activate Cam Chancellor all that often. At least his superstar ability. Sean Taylor's pops up rather frequently, to be honest, so that can be something that is helpful. The Stonewall also doesn't help me out all that much, so half contemplating taking that off. But I'm very excited to have Isaiah Simmons in my defensive backfield and running around trying to stop Michael Vick. Yeah, it's kind of interesting that we are not allowed to put him at a safety position and just able to put him at the linebacker position and closer up to the line, but very excited to see him, potentially get him powered up sooner rather than I probably should, but just very excited to get him as good as he possibly can be. Hopefully you've appreciated this mixture of Rising Stars and Patch Talk. It was supposed to be primarily Patch, but the Rising Stars today were a little exciting, at least the top two. I wish you all the best and take care.